The White House called Putin and Biden's conversation informative. The White House described the phone conversations between U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin as professional and substantive. A senior White House official said as much on Saturday, February 12, at a special briefing for journalists. The conversation between the two presidents was professional and substantive, TASS quoted him as saying. In addition, the official stressed, there have been no fundamental changes in the dynamics that have taken place in the last few weeks. In turn, assistant to the president of Russia Yuri Ushakov noted that it was because of the aggravation of the hysteria around the allegedly imminent attack of Russia against Ukraine that the American side requested the conversation on February 12, although it was planned for Monday. According to him, the escalation of the invasion topic was coordinated, and it can be stated that the nature of the conversation was businesslike. Putin took note of Biden's considerations, which will be analyzed, but said with regret that these considerations did not touch upon key Russian interests either concerning NATO expansion or security guarantees. Russia did not receive a clear answer. The conversation between the two leaders lasted more than an hour over a secure connection. It ended at 12:06 p.m., U.S. East Coast time, 8:06 p.m. Moscow time. The conversation took place against the backdrop of U.S. statements about a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine next week during the Beijing Olympics. On February 12, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said in a conversation with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken that the propaganda campaign launched by the United States and its allies about Russian aggression against Ukraine pursues provocative goals, thereby encouraging the authorities in Kiev to sabotage the Minsk agreements and detrimental attempts to resolve the Donbass problem by force. On February 11, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs presented examples of publications in the Western media that, as part of a large-scale disinformation campaign, promote the thesis of a so-called Russian invasion of Ukraine that is being prepared. The diplomats are confident that the authorities of Western countries and the media are working together to increase artificial tension around Ukraine, using massive injections of false information in their geopolitical interests. 4 people were shot during Justin Bieber's party. 4 people were shot and wounded Saturday, February 12, in West Hollywood, California. The fight happened outside a restaurant where a concert party was held for Canadian pop musician Justin Bieber, CNN reported, citing Los Angeles police and sources familiar with the incident. As noted in the material, several people got into a fight, and one of them opened fire, and then fled the scene. Policemen asked the public for help in identifying the suspect. The incident injured 4 people, 2 of whom were taken to hospital. Their condition is assessed as stable. According to the channel's source, Bieber was in the restaurant at the time of the shooting and decided to leave as soon as he learned about the incident. A representative of the musician did not comment on the situation when asked by CNN. Earlier, on February 9, 2 people, including a student, were injured in a shooting at McKinley High School in Buffalo, New York, USA. The juvenile was sent to Children's Hospital, where he underwent surgery. The security guard was shot in the leg and was also hospitalized. An American political scientist explained the U.S. fascination with the Ukrainian conflict. The National Interest magazine published an article by David Hendrickson, a political science professor at Colorado College, titled "Why Washington Went Crazy Over Ukraine." It claims that Washington inflated the story of Russia's attack on Ukraine in order to stop Nord Stream 2. The political analyst believes that the U.S. initially did not believe in the idea of a Russian invasion, but used the international panic for its own purposes. There is no denying the fact that the fear of war put on by the diligent media has brought the hawks great advantage. Those interested in selling LNG have made significant progress in their campaign to prevent the opening of Nord Stream 2, Hendrickson wrote. The expert added that the transfer of weapons to Kiev was beneficial for the U.S. military-industrial complex, and the anti-Russian coalition received the consent of Congress to completely cut off contacts with the Kremlin. On February 11, the Russian Foreign Ministry presented examples of publications in the Western media, which, as part of a large-scale disinformation campaign, contribute to the dissemination of the thesis about the so-called prepared Russian invasion of Ukraine. The diplomats recalled that in their coverage of the crisis in Ukraine, the Western media ignored Moscow's commitment to a diplomatic settlement of the conflict based on the Minsk agreements, and its concerns about its own security due to the movement of NATO military infrastructure to the Russian borders. The US and a number of European countries have recently expressed concern about Russia's allegedly intensified aggressive actions against Ukraine. Moscow has repeatedly denied such accusations, saying that it does not threaten anyone, and such statements are used as a pretext to deploy as much NATO military equipment as possible near the Russian borders.